Sorry about that. Yes. So again, everybody should stay muted until I call on them. So you could wave your hand, raise your hand, or shoot me a message in the message box, and I'll get to your concern. And you do not have to share your video. Thank you for sharing. It's nice seeing all of your lovely faces. But just keep in mind that our workshops are recorded, and we record them to then give them back to you. So everybody who registered, so you guys can use them as a later date, or maybe follow up on the lab or repeat the lab a little later if you really liked it. All right, so today's materials. So one thing about today's materials, you guys, is that you're going to need parental supervision for today's lesson. So I'll tell you when it comes closer to time when you need to directly grab your responsible adult, but today you will definitely need parental supervision at the very beginning if you didn't do some work before lab, and then at the very end of today's lab. But in general, for materials, you're going to need crayons, a cheese grater or scissors, or a sharp object like a knife. You're going to need wax paper, foil, and then you're going to need a source of heat. And that source of heat can be an oven. In today's video, I use a toaster oven. And if you're using the oven, again, that we're using this with a responsible adult supervising you. So whether you use an oven, hot water, or a blow dryer or a hair dryer, be sure that an adult is present when you are doing so. Okay, so what are rocks? Oh, first of all, before we get into this, so the first part of the lab is really, really time consuming. So if you have not peeled your crayons and graded them down, please start doing so now. So grab your adult. If your crayons are not peeled and graded, please start doing so now. It takes a long time to build up a lot of crayon shavings. So if that is not already done, please go and with your adult supervising you, or have your parental unit go ahead and do the grading for you. Okay, so peel your crayons and start grading them now while I go through this background information. But be sure to pay attention to the background information because it'll help you out on the quiz at the end. Okay, so what are rocks? So rocks are naturally formed, and they're composed of grains of one or more minerals. Sorry guys, I'm gonna pause and see what's in the chat. Sorry.
Dr. Candace, I can answer the chat questions for you as you
Thank you, Crayon. All right, back to rocks. So rocks are, oh, sorry, now my screen is messed up. So rocks are naturally formed, and they're composed of minerals that have been forced together in a few different ways. And we'll go over those ways in a little bit. But just know that rocks are natural, and they're composed of minerals which have been forced together in some type of way. And geologists, which are the scientists who study rocks, they group rocks into 3 categories depending on how they were formed. So rocks can be categorized as igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. How many of you guys have heard those terms before? Heard those terms, learned those terms? All right, well, let's get into it. And also, remember I said rocks are made out of minerals. So minerals are described as naturally occurring also. And last lesson, we learned a little bit about crystals. So minerals are what make up those crystal structures. So if you ever see something that looks like a crystal in a rock, that is a specific mineral that rock is composed of or made of. All right, so how are rocks made? So rocks are made in several different ways. And the best way to describe how rocks are made is by going through the rock cycle. So the rock cycle encompasses the many ways that rocks can be broken down, reformed into the 3 different types of rock. Remember, there are 3 different types of rock, okay? So rock can be formed by melting and then cooling down those minerals, therefore solidifying it and making a hard solid. Also through heat and pressure. So when you push down on something, you can see how you could force two atoms or two molecules to get really close together. They can also be formed by weathering and erosion. So weathering just simply means if there's a spot where water or rain or even a river water flows by continuously, it will start to chip down at that rock, right? It will start to decompose that rock, and some of that rock will start to get washed away little by little by little. So that is called weathering and erosion. And erosion is the same thing. When a river is moving across the land, it carves out a nice pathway for itself by pushing away the earth and eroding the rock and the dirt in the earth's crust, okay? So, the rock cycle. If we start all the way at the top, no, let's start at the bottom with sedimentary rock. So remember when I was talking about how the rivers will move past the rocks and take a little piece of that rock along with it or erode that rock? When those particles of that eroded rock settles down, and then gets compacted a little bit by the river continuously washing across it, that's how we form sedimentary rock. So sedimentary rock is really brittle and loose, and you can really see the particles of the different minerals that that sedimentary rock is made of. So again, sedimentary rock is just simply particles or of minerals that settle down, sedimentary, settle down, and form layers on top of each other and then are lightly compacted. And that's how we form sedimentary rock. So once we have sedimentary rock, we can add a little bit of heat and a lot of pressure, okay? So once we have those layers of rock in the sedimentary rock, we can then compact those layers and add a little bit of heat coming from the Earth's core. And that's going to give us metamorphic rock. So in metamorphic rock, you're still able to see the different minerals, but they're not as big, chunky crystal structures, I would say. They're more kind of smooth and stripy in your metamorphic rock. Now, after metamorphic rock, if we add more pressure and even more heat, extreme heat, we're able to form igneous rock. And igneous rock is really special because it takes on so much heat that the bonds in the minerals that are used to form that rock actually change, and you have a chemical change with that rock, and those minerals then look nice and smooth and swirly. And we'll look at some examples of each type of rock in a minute. But to go through the rock cycle again, if we start with sedimentary rock, that's our loosest rock. And if we compact multiple layers of sediment, we can then push that down and get sedimentary rock. If we then take our sedimentary rock and then add more pressure and then a little bit of heat, we can form metamorphic rock. And then from metamorphic rock, if we add more pressure and lots of heat, then we can form our igneous rock. And guess what? All of this is reversible. So your igneous rock can be broken back down into metamorphic rock or sedimentary rock. And also for metamorphic rock, it can be broken back down into sedimentary rock. And again, that's using weathering and erosion. Any questions so far? I can't see everybody. Okay. So again, we have 3 rock categories: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. So again, igneous rocks are often formed from molten material or mineral material that is superheated. And molten rock material is lava. So that's what comes out of a volcano. So once that volcano lava cools, it is a igneous rock. And sedimentary rocks, again, are the accumulation of materials that were once other existing rocks that then have been eroded down. And metamorphic rocks occur as a result of high pressure and temperature, and it changes the texture of the minerals in the sedimentary rocks. So they're not as grainy in the sedimentary rocks as they are in the sedimentary rocks. They're more flat and even and smoothed out in your metamorphic rocks. So examples of igneous rocks are granite and pumice. You could use pumice in the shower as an exfoliator. And obsidian is really pretty. It's black and shiny. And then common forms of sedimentary rocks are sandstone, limestone, shale, and then you see the conglomerate. You can see that it's definitely made out of lots of different minerals that have just been forced together, and also gypsum. And then for metamorphic rocks, example of that, and you guys can see those smooth kind of banded patterns that I was talking about in the metamorphic rocks. And example of those are marble, quartz, gneiss, and slate. All right, so today again, we're going to be using crayons to mimic this rock cycle. So today we're going to start at sediments and sedimentary rock. We're going to move into metamorphic rock, and then we're going to take that more metamorphic rock and move it into igneous rocks. So when we get our igneous rocks, again, you guys, that's when I need you to have parental supervision and assistance. And your crayon should come out kind of looking like this. So when we make our sedimentary rock, we're going to want to be looking for the top kind of picture. And then the metamorphic, we're going to be looking for the middle. So we apply a little bit of heat and pressure and things kind of smooth out. And then the bottom, the igneous rocks, where everything melts together and we create something totally new. All right, let's get started. All right, again, the video, you guys, it's going to take you through grading or shaving your crayons, but if you can, go ahead and do some of the grading and shaving starting now. And again, please be very, very careful using the sharp objects. For this activity, you are going to need crayons, and you can also go ahead and peel the paper off your crayons. So you will also need a cheese grater. You will need wax paper, also aluminum foil. And then for the last part of this activity, you will need a source of heat. Here in the lab, I'm going to use a small toaster oven. At home, you could use a toaster oven as well, or you could even use a pot of boiling water, all with parental supervision. So just FYI, for the last step in this activity, you will need parental supervision because we will need to apply heat to our experiment. All right, so first things first, we first need to grate down some crayons. So first you need to take the peelings or the papers off of the crayons until you have naked crayons like these ones. And then there's a few different ways that you can grate down your crayons. Before we start, please, children, do not do this without your parents' help, or have your parents or guardians do this portion of the lab for you. Or make sure you have supervision while you do this portion of prep for our experiment. So I say all this because you will either need to use scissors, which are sharp, or a grater, which is sharp as well. So again, do this portion with adult supervision, or have your parents or guardians do this part of the pre-lab for you. All right, so I will demonstrate how to shave with the scissors and also how to grate. And when you're shaving, make sure to always go down and away from you. So never shave up towards your hand. you use the scissors like this, it gives you a kind of nice thin shave or thin piece of wax. Okay, you can see how that works. And this is very messy, so if you're at home, try to do this onto wax paper or directly onto the foil that you're working with, because these crayon shavings will stick to basically anything and everything. All right, and let's demonstrate using the grater. So the grater is much more efficient if you have one, but if you do not have a grater that you want to sacrifice to crayons, you can go ahead and use the side of a sharp object like the scissors. But grater is, to me, the best way. And also you want a grater that doesn't have holes that are really big. And then to remove the wax from your grater, you could dip it in hot water before you go ahead and scrub to clean it. All right, guys, I'm gonna get going on making some more crayon shavings. Now that we have graded and or shaved down our crayons, just for notice, I've used several different colors because rocks are made out of several different minerals. So these different minerals are going to come together to form our rocks throughout our full rock cycle that we are about to engage in. And rock forming minerals are, or could be, feldspar, quartz, mica, garnets, or even calcites. So again, we're using different colored crayon shavings to indicate the different minerals that our rocks are made out of. So to begin, I'm just gonna slide all of my minerals and or crayon.
Does everybody have their crayon shavings ready?
And this is when we're gonna use our aluminum foil.
No?
So you're gonna
Okay.
need to take.
All right, so we could pause for about 5 more minutes for you guys to finish up getting your crayon shavings together if you do not already have that part done. So just try to shave as much as you can. And then next we're gonna need a piece of aluminum foil. So you're gonna need about 1 foot by 1 foot square piece of aluminum foil. And as you're grading, and I probably mentioned this in the video, but I'll go ahead and mention it again now. As you're grading your crayons, you can think of your crayons as already formed igneous rock. So remember I said that rock cycle was reversible? So if your crayon was the igneous rock, whenever you graded that crayon, you eroded that crayon into little flakes or pebbles of sediment. So right now you should have 4 different piles of mineral sediments. And then when we move on in just a second, you guys will see how that sediment that you created
is going to be formed into our different types of rocks. And if you have any questions, you can ask now in the meantime, in between time. All right, we still have some preparing their rock sediments by grading their crayons. So we'll go ahead and get back into the lesson at 1:35. And also while we're waiting, as of now, this is our last Tuesday class. So what we're transitioning to is cyber summer camps. So you guys tell your parents to take a second and check out the website and see if you guys want to register for one of our cyber summer camps, where you could still meet with me online, but in addition to meeting with me online, you guys will be able to pick up some materials that you can use at home as well. So check that out on our website. And I'm kind of sad that this is our last session. I might try to sneak another one in on you really quick. But until then, summer camp starts the first week of July. So go ahead and check out our website and see if you guys like any of the cyber summer camps that we're offering.
First full week of July, so the week of the 6th.
Excuse me. Thank you for that clarification. All right, let's get back into our video now, guys. And we're first going to manipulate our foil and then form our sedimentary rock. Piece of aluminum foil. So grab your foil. About a foot cubed. I meant squared, not cubed. About foot by foot piece of aluminum foil. So what we're gonna do here is first fold this in half one time. Boom. All right. And then what you're gonna wanna do is fold it in half again. Boom. So we should have a 1 foot by 1 foot square, fold it in half once horizontally, fold it in half once vertically. So now what we're going to do is mimic the formation of sedimentary rock. So again, sedimentary rock are minerals that have been broken up or washed down by waterways, rivers, and streams, and or moved by glaciers into different spots. So right now, our loose minerals or our crayon shavings actually represent sediment. So for sedimentary rocks, the only thing that really happens is that these sediments come together, they collect in one spot, and then they're compacted. They're compacted again by a glacier moving over, or by water continuously running over that same spot, or just the pressure from the earth on top of the rock itself. So what you're gonna wanna do is open up your foil one way, like this, and then we're going to add some of each of our minerals onto the center of our foil. I'm doing pink on top of that. You can go ahead and start stacking your sediment, just like a river would be washing down sediments, and those layers would start to stack on top of each other. One. And again, it's a bit messy, but I wouldn't worry about the
crayon shavings that go crazy because of the static until you're all done.
And my blue mineral. So now that our sediments or our minerals are all layered on top of each other, the only thing that sedimentary rocks is these minerals have been pressed together over a long period of time with a lot of pressure. So what you're gonna do is now use your foil flap, the other side of your foil that your crayon shaving pile is not on, and you're gonna go ahead and bring it over, and you're going to gently push down because you don't want anything to come out, but you're going to gently with your palm, just go ahead and push down on your sedimentary rock. Now, there is a little bit of heat coming from your palm and hand, but sedimentary rock mostly is based off of, again, just the pressure, pushing down and putting these minerals nice and close together. So now that we've put down our minerals and applied a little bit of pressure using our palm to form our sedimentary rock, let's take a look. Wow. So you can see that in your sedimentary rock, you can still see the individual grains of all the minerals that we use. And there's no really streaks or even layers formed, but things are still kind of nice and chunky. And you could see the individual minerals. So this right here represents our sedimentary rock. Another thing about sedimentary rock is that it is the most brittle rock formation because nothing has been molded together. Again, this is just loose sediments or minerals that have been gently pushed together or layered together over time. Now, if we apply more pressure and also some heat, we should be able to transform our sedimentary rock into metamorphic rock. So go ahead and close your foil packet here. And then what I'm gonna do is also fold up the edges just so none of my rock crayon falls out, just for neat cleanliness. And now, not only do we want to add pressure by pushing down, but we're gonna wanna add some heat. So go ahead and rub your palms together and push down on your sedimentary rock. And now we're trying to make this metamorphic.
So again, guys, you can rub your hands together to try to create some heat and then touch your foil packets. I also sat on my foil packet, but you're creating your metamorphic rock is going to take about, I would say, 5 to 7 minutes, maybe as much as 10 minutes. Take as much time as you want to spend on it, but try to make sure you're imparting heat this time. So before making sedimentary rock, the pressure was very important, and here making your metamorphic rock, not only the pressure, but adding a bit of heat is better. You guys can employ tools to compact it even more if you want to push down on it with a book or a rolling pin, or if you want to sit on your packets as well. But take some time and apply lots of heat and pressure to your once sedimentary rock and try to morph it into metamorphic rock.
So what I know helps a lot is to honestly just pick up your packet with your rock in it and hold it between your palms like this. And then that should generate some heat as well. I also know some students who have taken this package and sat on it for a bit as well, and that also works. So go ahead and take some time Impress your sedimentary rock, add heat, add even more pressure so we can transform this into a metamorphic rock. It'll probably take about 10 minutes or so of heat and pressure, so take your time. Remember, rocks take millions of years to form. All right, remember, we are simulating the rock cycle. So to take it back to the top, if we can think about our intact crayons,
keep adding your heat and pressure while you listen.
Igneous rock can be eroded or broken down by shaving and grading into our sedimentary rocks. So remember, we shaved and broke down our intact crayons into sediments or different minerals. Then we took those minerals and lightly pressed them together with a little bit of pressure, and that rock formation was designated as our sedimentary rock. So remember, your sedimentary rock still had a lot of those individual minerals there, and it was very grainy and pebbly. So we then took our sedimentary rock, and I left you guys to apply even more pressure and heat from your palms. So if you rubbed your palms together and applied some heat over about 10 minutes or so, then we should have formed our metamorphic rock. So we're moving from sedimentary rock to now metamorphic rock. There's my timer. So let's go ahead and open this up.
Everybody ready to expose your metamorphic rock? You think you got enough heat and pressure on there? You want a couple more minutes? All right, we'll give you about 2 more minutes, heat and pressure on your metamorphic rocks, just so everybody's nice and their minerals are pushed together, and then we will unveil. All right. Let's get back to it.
Wow, so it still looks a bit grainy. I could see my individual minerals still, but it is more so one solid layer, as in the minerals have been pushed together and molded and melted together with that bit of heat from my palms. So you can see this is no longer just grainy and can be moved around, but it's actually pretty solid, and the minerals have formed different layers. Let's see if I can pick it up now. Oh, you can see how it's in big chunks. Oh, I just took a chunk off. So before, with our sedimentary rock, it wasn't as compact as this. So using not only pressure, but adding in heat allowed for our minerals to compact even more. And this is representing our metamorphic rock stage. Okay. Our last rock stage is igneous rocks. And guess what we have to do for igneous rocks? Exactly, more heat, more pressure. But the heat that we are going to add to our rock minerals in order to form our igneous rock is going to be very hot. So right about now is when you need to call in your parent or guardian and give you some supervision. So again, we're going to not only add pressure, but we're going to add lots of heat. We could do this by using a toaster oven, which I will be using. you guys can boil a pot of water and then rest your foil boat on top of that boiling water and your crayon would melt. Or you could close your packet and use a blow dryer to heat the foil packet and then wait until it cools down until you touch it. So again, if you're participating, now is the time to tag in your responsible adult. So to go from Metamorphic Rock to Igneous Rock, first you're going to want to create a boat out of your foil packet. And this is because we are now going to heat our crayon wax up and it's going to melt, and you don't want any to run off the edges. So follow my directions and I'll show you basically how to build up a small foil boat to create your igneous rock. So what I'm gonna do is just fold up this side of the foil because we don't need that much. All right, that is one wall. Then I'm going to do the same on this side. And then also to make a nice thick rock, I'm going to break up my metamorphic rock and stack it on top of each other. And then when I add heat to create my igneous rocks, they should all melt together in that stack form. So right now, I'm going to just fold over and break my rock. And again, this happens in the natural, oh, this is a nice good piece of igneous melted together. Excuse me, metamorphic example melted together. So again, what I was going to say, naturally, metamorphic rock can be broken back down into sediment and sedimentary rocks. And you could also make igneous rocks straight from sedimentary with enough heat and pressure. So the rock cycle is a cycle and it moves in a circle, but you can also skip to different points on that circle. Again, you can go from sedimentary to igneous and also have igneous break down back into sedimentary and skip over metamorphic completely, or we can include metamorphic into it. So continue folding up the sides of your foil, again, to make something
Good job, Zoe.
like a boat. Just as long as there's 4 walls surrounding your, used to be metamorphic rock, but mine is pretty much sedimentary rock now, which is fine. All right, so now we have our foil boat. So now we could go to our metamorphic rock formation. And again, I will be using a toaster oven to do so. So be very careful with this step. And again, this step you should be doing with your responsible adult, either doing it for you or with you in the same room. So with making our igneous rock in the toaster oven, it really doesn't take long. From anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes of heat should be good. If you're using other methods such as boiling water, it might take a bit longer, and also the hair dryer might take a bit longer as well. But again, just check on your rocks, and you can see, again, with igneous rocks, we want to melt all of our minerals together and have them form new bonds. So with igneous rock, you're just gonna want your crayon or mineral sediments to melt and come together. Once it melts and comes together, please wait till it cools before you touch it.
So right now you guys can be heating your rocks, your igneous rocks, and forming your igneous rocks right now.
Hey, Ethan, do you have a question?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to hear you over the video.
Can you pause it?
All right, go ahead, Ethan.
How long do you have to put it in the oven?
So no longer than about 2 to 3 minutes. So if your oven is pre-warmed or preheated to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, your crayons melt rather quickly. So in about 2 minutes, I would check on them. In a toaster oven like this one where I started cold, it took about, I would say 4 to 5 minutes for my crayon to melt.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your question.
Thank you.
Everybody got their crayons going? And again, once they melt, they are going to be liquid, so be careful taking them out of the oven.
Wish you guys could see the mimicking our minerals, which get heated and pushed together really closely and form new bonds. This is after about 2 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the heat application now. So I went ahead and removed our now igneous rock from my toaster oven. And again, please have a parent or guardian do this part for you, as this is very hot. We don't want anybody to get burned. I use my safety hot gloves to do this as well. And you also want to take your foil boat out very carefully so that you don't really disturb your igneous rock until it has a chance to solidify. But you can definitely tell that it's igneous rock because no longer do you have those granules or those pebbles of minerals or those rock shavings, crayon shavings that you could actually see. Now everything is melted in very even and very fine, and there's a nice swirly pattern that you can see. And this represents those minerals now aren't just separate and just stuck close together, but through the heat and pressure, they've actually bonded together and formed a nice smooth rock that has like this marbling feature to it. So give this a second to cool down, and then we can unmold it from the foil and talk about the rock cycle some more.
So again, you guys, for the interest of time, you should have baked your metamorphic rock now into igneous rock, and it should be cooling by now if it's not already cooled. You can carefully pop it in the fridge or freezer if you would like to, but for the sake of time for today's class, we're just gonna go ahead and keep on pushing with the video and then get into our final poll.
You've given your igneous rocks a moment to harden, you could actually see that it turns back into solid wax, but you can begin to peel back your foil carefully and unmold your igneous rock. Wow. So my backside honestly looks a lot cooler than my top side. But if you see here, again, we no longer have the graininess of the shaved crayons like we saw in our sedimentary and our metamorphic rock. We now have more so a swirl pattern because, again, all of our elements or different minerals have melted together to form igneous rock. And in metamorphic rock, again, there is heat and pressure applied, but in metamorphic rock, please remember that the minerals do not melt. They just get pressed together. But in igneous rocks, the minerals melt and they reform to form smooth rocks, just like this here.
Pretty cool.
So what you have also created is a new crayon. So if you want to, go ahead and grab some paper and give your crayon a spin. Oh, it broke. So I guess I use mostly green crayon shredding. So I have this nice olive green color crayon. And you guys can melt this igneous crayon rock formation down and actually form it into a crayon shape, again, using foil and the previous heat methods mentioned. Thank you for joining me on this creative journey through earth sciences, and I hope you guys enjoy your igneous rock formation and get really creative with this as well. Feel free to share with me as usual via email or on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. See y'all soon.
All right, kiddos, let's go into our post-assessment. I know we're going a little bit over time. Did everybody have fun? We created our igneous rocks. You guys now have interesting rainbow crayons to play with. Have fun with those. As usual, you could always share with me afterwards on, oh, that is cool. Okay, Sharp, that's nice. Actually molded into a shape. But yeah, so feel free to share with me on Instagram or email me or send me a message on Facebook. But again, kiddos, this is our last go at these Tuesday workshops for now, but look out for any messages on Facebook or Instagram, or check up on our website in case I find time to schedule in a surprise or a pop-up workshop. Until then, please, please, please check out our summer camps, which you can now register for. And they start the first week in July, so July 6th. I see you, Easton. I'm going to take your question, but first I'm going to launch the poll. All right, so the poll's launched. You guys take a few seconds to re-answer those questions. And now I will take your question, Mr. Easton.
Easton, buddy, you're on mute.
Go ahead and unmute yourself, Easton. And in the meantime, you guys can be participating in the poll.
Okay. Oh. Here. True or false, Miss?
No, it's a question. I want to show you
Yes,
something.
Cool.
I'm here to see.
It's my yellow geode. It didn't come out yellow.
Oh, it came out red or orangey. Cool.
That was my red. And that's
Ooh, wow. You know what? To add more color, Easton, you can drop the food coloring directly onto the geodes and they'll give them an extra bright color. So just use one drop at a time and then you could paint your own color in those geodes now that they're already formed. I did that at home afterwards too and it came out cool. But yeah, that's perfect. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Does anyone else have their geodes from last week that they want to show?
Miss Zoe?
Well, actually, mine didn't work out, so I want to do the experiment again, but the first round did not work.
Okay, so just a little bit of troubleshooting with those geodes. Try to use a container that's a bit wider than your eggshell, so your eggshell is not really touching the sides of the container. It's okay to touch the bottom, but the sides I've noticed can really inhibit a lot of crystal growth. And then with your solution, to make sure that it's super saturated, while you're boiling it, keep on adding in borax until no more dissolves. And then once you see some collecting at the bottom for a while, then you know that it's super saturated. Cool? Let me know when you try it again.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anybody else with questions? Ah, cool Igneous Rock crayon, Zoe. All right, we still have some people getting through the quiz, so go ahead, take your time with that. Looks like Miss Carrion's in the city lab.
What's up, guys?
Diego!
Where's his face at? There he is.
He looks tired.
He always looks tired. Just chilling. I just cleaned.
What's Severus doing?
Severus? He's chilling in there in his hole. Can you see him?
Yeah, can see his side.
He's gonna get this.
A mousey? You guys see what Severus the boa eats?
Some mice. Oh, you be eating this later. That I don't know. No one sees that but me. Unless you're here. If you ever come to the city for an experiment, we have fed the snake in front of kids. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how he eats it.
Yeah, I don't have a snake in the South Hills. So if you guys ever want to experience a boa constrictor, you can check out Miss Carrion in the city.
And by boa constrictor, she means ball python.
Oh, excuse me. A ball python. Not a boa constrictor. We don't. That's no good. A bald python. Nice and calm. Okie dokie. There is one more person finishing up the quiz, and then I'm sorry, but I will be saying the final goodbyes. But thank you guys, especially you guys that have hung out the whole series. Hey, Severus. But especially you guys who have hung out with us the whole series long. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being interested in science. And hopefully when we get to some established schedule, you guys will be able to come back into the lab and take care of some science in person.
Don't forget, if you guys are interested, sign up for our cyber summer camps where you'll actually get all of the supplies you need. So we'll give you all the supplies you need, and then you'll be able to do the experiments along with us at home.
Thanks. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go over these questions, and then we will wrap up for today. So question number 1, true or false, most of the rock cycle takes place in or on the Earth's crust. So I don't know if I remember to mention this, but the answer to that question is true. So outside of magma coming from the core, which then comes to the crust to cool to make igneous rocks, most of the rock cycle takes place in or on the Earth's crust. All right, number 2. Igneous rocks form when magma cools and forms condensations, crystals, or carbon dioxide. So igneous rocks form when magma cools and forms crystals. So remember I said those minerals crystallize. All right, number 3, erosion can be caused by wind, water, or both wind and water. And the correct answer is the last one, both wind and water. So wind can blow, just like wind can blow sand and dust. So that's erosion too. And it picks up that sand and drops it somewhere else. And water can do the same. All right, baked rock. This was tricky for you guys. Baked rock that does not melt but forms large crystals is... So it's not liquefied rock, so it didn't liquefy and then cool down, so it's not igneous. And sedimentary rocks, remember, do not have any heat applied to them, so they wouldn't be baked. So this answer is metamorphic. So metamorphic is just rocks that have been simply baked and not melted or liquefied. Good job with that. All right, number 5, sedimentary rocks are formed when sediments are broken down, mixed together, or layered on top of each other. So broken down is a definition of erosion, right? Mixed together, that's cool, but what we really need for sedimentary rocks is for those sediments to get layered on top of each other. So you guys did really great with that question. And last but not least, true or false, igneous rocks can produce sedimentary rock via erosion. True or false? And that is true. Everybody got that right. So terrific job, you guys. I'm super proud of you. And I can honestly see just by spending these few Tuesdays with you guys that you have grown scientifically and intellectually as well. So I'm really proud of you guys and hope that you stay interested in science. And you can always use our resources here at the Citizen Science Lab to play in your curiosities about science. So if you need anything else, you guys know you can reach out to me and Miss Carrie Ann via email. But other than that, you could just check out our website and we'll try to post our activities, whether they're in person or online, on the website as well. But thank you and bye for now for Tuesdays. I'll miss you forever. Have a good summer. Get outside and play.